What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Movie Race.
The freaks are at it again. Fans are speaking up and they want another dose of Mr. Grey. And is a fourth installment possible? Here's everything I dug up just for you. Unless you live under a rock, then you probably heard of the 50 Shades of Grey franchise. It's a trilogy film based on the books of E.L. James's best-selling trilogy series. Just like the movies, this novel series was also a success. It was first self-published as an ebook and print-on-demand back in the year 2011. And it was finally acquired by Vintage Books in 2012, and since then it has topped bestseller book lists across the globe. It had been one of the decade's quickest rising bestsellers. 50 Shades of Grey sold 4.7 million print copies in the UK alone, followed by 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed. Jamie's 30-Minute Meals, the fourth best-selling book, sold 1.8 million copies. At its height, the first book sold 2 copies per second. As a result of its use on the book covers, the UK even briefly ran out of silver ink. Can you imagine that? More than 150 million copies have been sold globally by 2015, with millions of more ebooks added on top. The movie franchise, especially during its third movie, may have had some harsh reviews, which I'll get into more later. However, during its first run, it was ultimately quite successful. The movie starred Dakota Johnson playing the role of Anastasia Steele and Jamie as the ever-famous Mr. Christian Grey. It was the nationwide cinema fever that kept audiences enthralled and critics amused. After being released in 2015, 50 Shades of Grey shot to the top of the box office, surprising predictions and inspiring multiple sequel movies. The movie outperformed expectations and ended up earning over $550 million at the box office globally. Following the success of the first movie, a trilogy based on the same named novels, 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and 50 Shades Freed, was produced. For 3 R-rated movies, the 50 Shades franchise $1 billion at the global box office haul. This was certainly no small accomplishment. Again, for those who haven't watched the movies yet, here's a quick rundown. Christian Grey, 27-year-old billionaire and fan of BDSM, meets Anastasia Steele, a 22-year-old virgin college student. She wants to date him, but he wants to basically make her his newest slave. There is a lot of slaps, and so YouTube would not demonetize this video, let's just call it tickling. There was lots of tickling. There were a lot of extravagant penthouses, upscale dining establishments, and pricey vehicles. They walk a precarious line between kink and domesticity. Helicopter crashes, psychotic ex-spouses, and then a kidnapping occurred. He divulges his traumatic childhood experiences and softens him. After their wedding, Grey decides he no longer wants to hurt his wife. They have 2 young ones. The end. I personally think the reason why the first movie of this film trilogy became an absolute hit was that it introduced something new into the cinemas while still sticking to a trope that everybody seemed fascinated with at the time of its release. It follows the well-worn pattern of the innocent girl falling for the damaged man, putting up with his crassness because she believes he is ultimately good, and eventually teaching him how to be polite, a sociable member of society. Don't we all just used to love the I can fix him narrative? I know you were into it too, don't lie. Plus, it really evaluated the sex scenes on a whole new level compared to what audiences are usually used to, which was really fresh to see on screen for a lot of people. But despite its success on screen, it still earned some really brutal critics. Having the author on board was one of the main reasons these movies were such a critical dud. According to Sam Taylor Johnson, who directed the first movie, James was not the easiest to deal with because it was obvious that the author was not keen on straying away from her books. So obviously there's some tea there. According to Taylor Johnson, it was difficult, I'm not gonna lie, we definitely fought, but they were creative fights and we would resolve them. We would have proper on-set Barneys, and I'm not confrontational, but it was about finding a way between the two of us, satisfying her vision of what she'd written as well as my need to visualize this person on screen, but you know, we got there. After the first movie, I think I just kind of went downhill from there. Through all of the three movies, Christian remains the same. There is zero character development. Anastasia does occasionally complain, but his unsettling behavior never results in punishment. Another interesting topic to explore would have been Christian's physical and emotional abuse, but the film never completely gets to the bottom of his difficulties. Yes, as the book progresses, we have a deeper understanding of Christian. I'm 50 Shades effed up gray, but the series never makes an attempt to address his issues. It is soft-core pornography. 50 Shades characters, plot, and storytelling come second. Although they are tossed into the mix, intriguing ideas never receive any attention. Although the inclusion of the stalker from the second picture feels forced in an effort to up the stakes in 50 Shades Darker, it's obvious that the movie isn't integrating as a parody of Fatal Attraction. The employer of Anastasia also reveals to be a psychotic kidnapper. The final movie doesn't even fully address this because it focuses primarily on Christian and Anastasia having sex while on vacation. The main plot of the film is on what may be the most toxic relationship in film history. I haven't seen every movie, so I can't corroborate this assertion, and attempts to justify Christian's actions by pointing out his wealth and good looks. Now, with all of that being said, the important question remains, will there be a fourth installment? Sadly, nothing official has been announced yet regarding a fourth installment, and if the filmmakers are really following the trilogy novel series, then they would have to smash that like button. But no, seriously, if the filmmakers are really set on following the novel series, then I guess they would have to stop there. They would no longer have any source material to draw from unless they decided to create a story of their own involving the two lead characters. But it does seem like it's not only the critics who are not super thrilled with this movie franchise. Even the leading man, Jamie himself, had his qualms regarding the films. Jamie has some misgivings about the movie 50 Shades of Grey despite its commercial success. Speaking to British GQ, he acknowledged that the franchise has not negatively impacted his life or career, notably in terms of money. He also acknowledged that audiences adored the movies, which he is always appreciative of, but he disliked how the movies have turned into a joke. He told British GQ, "Look, put it this way, it's done no harm to my career to be part of a movie franchise that has made more than $1 billion. Every working actor would say the same thing. It's proved a lot. There's no shame in saying it's transformed my life and my family's life financially. I am very, very grateful for this and always will be, and the fans loved it. Kevin, the film critic at the Times, didn't love it. What a surprise. But I take issue with the whole thing being just a bit of a joke. Everyone involved worked as hard as they could on those films, including myself. He even made it super clear during his interview with Variety that he would smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, or you know, not agree to be typecast in a movie similar to 50 Shades of Grey ever again. So if a fourth film is possible, expect to see a new Mr. Grey. There are also some speculations regarding a new movie that would feature Christian Grey and Anastasia Steele once again. E.L. James wrote and published a book titled Grey, 50 Shades of Grey is told by Christian, and Darker, 50 Shades Darker is told by Christian, wherein we would get to witness everything through the lens of Christian Grey himself, which begs the question, is there a possibility for a spin-off? Well, nothing official has been announced yet, but you guys for sure could hope. While we remain hoping and praying for the 50 Shades of Grey spin-off, here are some other videos you might like.